Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. We're going to be continuing on with my 100 films of 100 days series, and today we're going to be kind of going on with the Batman theme that I had kind of going. I watched the Lego Batman the other day, and in the video I mentioned that a lot of people consider the Lego Batman to be like a top 3 Batman movie of all time, and I feel like I should mention I low-key haven't seen that many Batman movies. I've seen The Batman with Robert Pattinson, and then I've seen The Dark Knight with Christian Bale. I haven't seen any of the other Batman movies that have ever been made ever. I haven't even, you know how The Dark Knight is a trilogy? Yeah, I haven't seen the first movie of that trilogy or the last movie of that trilogy. I've literally just seen The Dark Knight. So I plan on potentially throughout this series watching all of the Batman movies and then eventually making a video ranking every single Batman movie. But today I wanted to specifically start off with the 1989 Batman movie directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton as Batman because I absolutely love Michael Keaton. So that being said, I don't have a whole lot of expectations for this film. I'm just going to go ahead and pop it in. I said pop it in. I'm watching it on HBO Max. It's on HBO Max. I do have it on DVD, but I'm going to watch it on HBO Max, and I will see you guys in a bit with my honest review, reaction, and rating.
Dun, 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 dun. 100 films in 100 days.
Okay, that was a very fun movie. I think that one of my biggest takeaways from this film is we gotta bring love interest back into superhero movies. Oh my god. I feel like a lot of the superhero movies that have came out in the last 10, 15 years haven't felt nearly as much high stakes as this film does. And I feel like it's literally just the inclusion of Vicky Vale's character in this film. She's a great, interesting character on her own. She's a very strong character. She's somebody who is kind of goes against the grain whenever you think of the female love interest in a superhero movie. It's always oh, she's a damsel in distress, but she doesn't really seem to be as much of a damsel in distress. She's very tough, and I like the fact that she's a character in here who gets to know Bruce Wayne very closely, and then she has a night where she's interacting with Batman, and then she gets to kind of see him as Bruce Wayne, him as Batman, and then see him all together as she finds out that he is Batman. I think that that's incredible, and I think that it adds a lot more stakes to this film. There's a lot of sequences where the Joker has her, and oh my god, it's a little stressful. What is the Joker gonna do? The Joker is such a loose cannon that it's him being alone with the Batman's love interest, that could be a really devastating thing. I really like that. I thought that was a really fun thing. I think that the reporter in this film, Knox, I can't remember what his first name is, adds another fun layer to this. I really like the aspect of Batman kind of being more like an urban legend. Something that I don't like about more modern takes on the Batman character is usually he's already a public figure. He's somebody a lot of people know about. People dress up as Batman as a Halloween costume and stuff like that. I like this movie and how a lot of people are still going around being you think that there's a guy dressed as a bat fighting crime? There's no way. That's such a ridiculous thing to believe. Why would anybody actually believe that? I love that this movie starts off with him kind of being an urban legend. He's going and fighting people on rooftops and people who just robbed innocent people, and they didn't even know that the Batman actually existed, and they're interacting with him for the first time, and they're absolutely terrified because to them he was just kind of some urban legend. And I think that that's awesome. I think that that's absolutely phenomenal. I want to talk about how epic the suit is, because oh my god, there's so many different stills throughout this film where you can just pause it and that is the most beautiful silhouette ever. The cape is absolutely phenomenal. The cowl is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, he can't really move his head around that much. That's something they made a joke about when he returned as Batman in the Flash movie. But I absolutely love the costume. I think it looks phenomenal. I just absolutely love how they build up his character throughout this movie as somebody who's kind of terrifying to all the criminals of the city. And I also, one thing that I really love about this film, if you're going to do Batman versus Joker, which is one of the most famous cat and mouse kind of characters where they're arch enemies, whatever, in comics and movies and whatever, I love when you have him be the antithesis to the Joker, where everybody's well, yeah, everybody's scared of the Joker, but you're going around in a bat suit attacking people. People are also scared of you. And I like the scene where Vicky Vale kind of explains that, you're not much better than he is. You're going around, you're killing people, which, that's a decision. Tim Burton, I gotta say, I actually kind of like it. I think that unless you plan on specifically doing something with the fact that, Batman refuses to kill people, his no-kill rule is something that I feel really should just be avoided. Because, like I said, the only time his no-kill rule is really ever interesting is when you're dealing with Red Hood related stuff. And when you're making a Batman movie that doesn't have any Robins or any Bat family whatsoever, his no kill rule is low-key really stupid. Because it's a big character flaw that he's like, I refuse to kill anybody, even somebody who's the worst person who's ever existed in the history of ever. But I do like the fact that he kills in this. I feel like he feels more on brand for this character, and I really love just overall this portrayal of Bruce Wayne and Batman as a whole. I think that Michael Keaton is absolutely phenomenal in this role. I think that his Bruce is really cool. I really like the fact that he feels like a smart detective. I feel like that's one thing that a lot of Batman movies don't ever really get right, but he just feels like the smartest person in the room in every single room that he's in. That's absolutely fantastic. I love the sequence where he's with Vicky Vale in her apartment, and then the Joker strolls into her apartment, and he has to quickly kind of pretend like he's helpless and he's just like this random rich guy, and he basically, tricks the Joker into shooting him, but he can't give away that he's actually Batman, so he's having to like pretend to be dead. Awesome stuff there. Really cool stuff. The let's get nuts. You want to get nuts? Awesome. Does this movie also feel really much like a what? Really much? That doesn't make sense. Does this movie also feel like it very much is a product of the 80s? Absolutely. This film, in my opinion, feels relatively campy, but in the best ways possible. Now, I've mentioned, obviously, Batman a lot. I've talked a lot about Michael Keaton's performance. I've talked about Vicky Vale, how much I loved her. It is impossible to talk about this movie without bringing up a phenomenal villain performance by Jack Nicholson. I know a lot of people will refer to Jack Nicholson as one of the greatest actors alive. I feel like most people, if you ask a bunch of people who are film buffs, hey, who are your top 5 actors of all time? He's going to be on a shit ton of those lists. This is the first time I've ever seen him in anything. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love his transformation to the Joker. I love the kind of like depth to his character before he becomes the Joker. And I really like that we also got to see the Joker's origin story in this movie. I feel like it's something that's kind of gets brushed over a lot. And in some movies like The Dark Knight, where they're trying to make him like a mysterious figure, it makes sense. But there's other times where like the Joker just shows up and he's just already a silly little clown guy. And it's like, why not show that? It's a very interesting story. And it's very interesting how he goes from being like this totally normal dude to like, now he's a psychopath and he's cracking jokes every 10 seconds, which, another thing I absolutely love about this Joker performance. For one, obviously he's absolutely terrifying. But for two, his name is the Joker for a reason. He loves entertaining people. He loves being the center of attention. He wants to, throw a parade in his honor. But also, he's constantly cracking jokes throughout the third act of this film, and I absolutely love it. I think that it's phenomenal. I feel like the way that he bounces off of Michael Keaton's absolutely stoic Batman performance is great. And I love the fact that he's just like constantly making different jokes, making different gags, and making silly little faces, and just having the time of his life when he's a villain. The first murder sequence he has in this film, where he goes to kill the greedy CEO that sent him on the mission that turned him into the Joker, and he's just like, ha, 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 ha. That's fun. That's just silly, campy, over the top, and it's hilarious. I absolutely love that. I think that that's phenomenal, and there's just a lot of little moments like that that I really, really enjoy. I think that this movie is a very, very delightful film. I think that this movie has a lot of interesting hijinks in it, and especially with the Joker. I love just the scene of him randomly going to a museum and just trashing everything. He's just like, I'm an artist. I'm so cool. Sure, man. Yeah, you think that. That's awesome. You go, dude. But I love that. I think that his ridiculous outfits as the Joker, also hilarious. He looks great. He looks fantastic. That smile is also relatively haunting. Like, the way that he smiles and the way that his face kind of, like, expands when he smiles is very eerie. He does kind of feel horrifying in this film, and I do like that. I really enjoy that. So, yeah, overall, had a really good time with this movie. I think it's fun. I think that this Gotham is phenomenal. I haven't talked about the set design and any of the cool action sequences or anything like that. This movie is beautiful. I think that, for one, the way that this Gotham kind of feels like it's underground, with how like it's always overcast and there's a bunch of like bridges and tunnels and trains and everything above head. Awesome. I like the fact that it feels grimy and kind of gross and disgusting. Insanely cool. I love the Batmobile sequences. The chase scene in this film is absolutely phenomenal. I think that the Batmobile looks great. I think that the Batwing looks great. The Wayne Mansion looks absolutely awesome. And there's just a lot of really cool moments like that. Something else that I absolutely love about this Gotham: gargoyles on the buildings. Let's go. bring back gargoyles, man. Those are so sick. That is such a cool thing. Modern, like, rich people, they care so much about, like, minimalism, and they want their houses to look like just a block, just a square. And it's like, bring back cool style and architect. And oh my god, seeing those gargoyles made me really, really happy. And then watching the Joker die because he got connected to a gargoyle also made me happy. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I have a bunch of positives for it. One of my few negatives, this is a day and age where CGI wasn't that good, and they intentionally had a couple of people dying by falling to death, and they had no good way to make somebody falling to their death. Like, that was kind of not great. But yeah, other than that, the only real negative that I wanted to say I had for this film was the third act. There's like a solid like 4-minute sequence where we're literally just watching Batman climb up a flight of stairs. And then literally later in that exact same scene, he uses his grapple hook to like grapple up to something, and it's like, why did you just take the stairs for 4 minutes? That was a really weird choice. But other than that, I really enjoyed pretty much everything about this movie. Batman feeling like a detective, the twist towards the end of the film that the Joker killed Batman's family, that's pretty sick. That's really cool. And yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a really good time with it. If I had to say if it was overrated, underrated, right, properly rated, I don't know how people tend to rate this movie. I think that there are some people who are kind of like mixed on it because Batman kills, but I feel like if you're going to rate this movie low just because Batman kills people, that's insane. I gotta say, I think that this movie's relatively underrated. I haven't heard a bunch of people giving this movie praises. A lot of times when they talk about the older superhero movies that are really good, they just talk about Christopher Reeve's Superman. This movie's phenomenal. And I don't know why this isn't a movie that gets talked about regularly. A lot of times people talk about, like, oh, who's the best Batman actor? And I feel like Michael Keaton should be up there. He does the double life perfectly in this film, and it is captivating. He is phenomenal. But yeah, that being said, if I had to give this movie a rating, on a scale of 1 to 100, give it a little grade, I would give this a solid 94. I absolutely love this movie. There was like almost nothing about this movie that I wasn't a big fan of. It was very, very good. So yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.